Start video on that, on this lovely stained glass window. The man going shooting with his dog, very Yorkshire. Another part of English culture, whether people try and deny that or not. So if you watched my last video, you know that I was walking down to sell something and I couldn't sell it. So now I'm going to walk all the way back up home. But, you know, exercise is good for you, especially when you're carrying an extra, I don't know, probably 10 kilograms. So, continue the talk walking back home, or maybe I'll just walk to my mum's house, to be honest. Maybe she'll make me a cup of tea and break up the journey back. Well, I'm finding it hard to continue where I was talking last about, you know, leftists not understanding different cultures, thinking that they understand them. You know, maybe I've expended that topic. Yeah, I'm sure I've still got a lot to say. It's just so hard to think about it when you're walking, that's all. It's maybe easier to think about things when you just sat down writing an essay. When you're talking off the cuff, it can be a little bit harder. And I'm not sure if this is disrespectful, but there's one of the graveyards. You know, I suppose even the graveyard is picturesque in its own way. I'm not sure why they needed such a grand building in the middle of it, unless there was like a small chapel or something. I'm not sure. Not 100% sure what that building was for. Maybe from Womble, if you know, let me know in the comments. Yeah, definitely. Autumn is definitely here. Look up here. And it's been here for a while, to be honest. All the conkers dropped a while ago. Ooh, that's hard to hold it on that then. Not looking forward to this winter as well, as I don't have any central heating at home. I have like an electric fire. It's one of those like floor heaters, which are electric powered, but you know, only keeps me warm in one room. But things will get better one day. You know, one day I'll have enough money to fix the central heating. I suppose that's a good thing with these videos. It's one day when I'm doing a lot better for myself, I'll be able to look back and think, wow, when I was making these videos, I was out trying to sell things, I had no central heating, etc. But in the future, it'll all seem worth it, I'm sure. Yeah. I don't know why a camera attracts so much attention. I'm not sure if it's because it's an actual like camcorder rather than a phone. I feel like if I walk around with my phone, people won't be paying no business. So it's an actual camera and the transceiver. If I show you anyway, should be able to get it off. Yeah, if I just show you, that's like what goes on top of the camera in the hot shoe, which is the transceiver for the mic that I'm talking into to be picked up. So I don't know, maybe it's the big red bit grabs people's attention. Not 100% sure. Walk a different way up. Walk through the housing estate rather than along the main road. Hopefully be less traffic trying to compete with me. for the microphone. Very lovely and sunny though. Feel like when people bitch about the UK, they have very selective thoughts about it. No. Every year, I'm not sure if you caught that, somebody just cut me up on the roundabout, which is why I was distracted. But yeah. Every year there's people that say we didn't get much of a summer. And I always recall the summers being really warm and sunny in the UK. The days where it's not, yeah, sure. But broadly speaking, it is. It's nice weather. And the reason we have such lovely green countryside is because we get lots of rain. So I don't know, maybe instead of filming myself, I'll film the other way. So I feel like it'd be more interesting for you, rather than just seeing what I'm saying all the time. Obviously, I'll still try and talk and walk, but I'll just show you what I see. Maybe, maybe the camera will jump up a lot more now, though. It's a pretty nice house, isn't it? Never even noticed this house here before. Oh, I want to put camera a bit higher, it's in my face. See, even this, like Womwell's not exactly the nicest area in the world. Even this is nicer than some of the shitholes elsewhere in the country, and certainly elsewhere in the world. Oh, let's see how sweaty I am now. It's another thing. It's where here in the UK when it's like cold like this, you leave the house, so you put a coat on, and when you start moving, you get warm. So you either have to make a decision. If you want to be cold when you first leave the house until you generate heat, or do you just want to get a bit sweaty? And I choose the get a bit sweaty option. Being too hot is okay, I think. Being too cold is definitely the worst of the two. You know, for any of my Filipino viewers or any of those other countries near the equator, you don't know what cold is. Never experienced cold. Just like I would say those in Sweden, Canada, you know, those sort of countries don't really know what warm weather is. But we get both in the UK. In the winter it'll go down to like, you know, it can go down to -10 sometimes. In the summer, might get into the 30s. So when people say, like, even the scale, that's not cold or that's not hot, because their country doesn't get the extreme opposite. Whereas obviously in the UK we get both. To the less extremes, obviously it's not quite as warm as Saudi Arabia or you know, any of the other sort of tropical countries majority of the time. But, you know, 1 or 2 days a year we will get those tropical heat temperatures, and then we're all dying. And then Americans that live in Atlanta and stuff, in Florida, are like, that's not hot. Likewise, it never goes down to -10 in your country, in your state, rather. But, you know, it's just one of those things, as I'm sure we all know, most people on the internet are stupid. I wish it weren't that way. But it is, and it's getting worse, I think. I don't mean that from like just statistical figures on IQ scores that reflect that. I mean, you can just tell by talking to people. Like this nonsense we have in the UK at the minute, where what is an English person? That's such a retarded thing. It's quite clearly obvious what an English person is. She's asking what's an Indian person. You know, what's a Chinese person? What's a Thai person? You know, what's a Brazilian person? We all know what, broadly speaking, these people look like, what their culture is. But for some reason, the left want to pretend that England doesn't have that same equivalent, which is just nonsense. This is something that annoys me coming up. I mean, it annoys me because I'm from a European country, a rich European country. Oh, but then again, no, there's enough room. But yeah, this that we're coming up to just in front of me is something that I see all the time in videos in Thailand, Philippines, Malaysia, those sort of countries. And what I mean by that is how people will just park all over the curb, so then the pedestrians have to walk in the road. It should be the other way around. The cars go in the road, even if you have to park so that it obstructs other cars. That's tough shit. That's where it goes. It doesn't go on the pavement. I mean, yeah, not so much an issue. As you can see, yeah, there's enough room. But sometimes some cars don't leave enough room, and then that's when interesting things happen. Yeah. It is something I don't like when I've seen videos in some of these, you know, less affluent countries, that people just park wherever they want. You know, very, very little courtesy or respect for other people besides themselves. And it's ironic in a way because people try and say that we're like that in England, but we aren't. You know, having respect and courtesy for other people is a big part of our culture. You know, we call it decorum. These other countries learned it from Europeans in most instances. Maybe not everything. No. Other countries certainly have ways of showing respect. But people that try and pretend that we don't have it are just brain-rotted morons, to be honest. That van that went past needs fucking servicing. Fucking hell, I fail his MOT. All fucking fumes in air. Might not be able to see him on the camera, but smoke everywhere from his exhaust. But as I said, not everything's perfect in a sort of richer country like this. But I think some girls outside a cafe over there thought they were going to be nebbing over. Oh, they are nebbing over now. It's amazing. As soon as they see somebody with a camera, at least it just goes to prove that I'm not too late to the YouTube game. Most people are not on YouTube making videos. Still gives me time to get my channel out there, get it growing, make this a job. You know, as you maybe guessed from the title of this channel, it's meant to be a sort of a travel vlog, but I called off that trip, as I've said in other videos, and it was a good job I did. Since I've missed like multiple earthquakes and some civil unrest in the Philippines, but I will still go. I just don't know when now. Fucking steering wheel on wrong side, Romanian. Thought it was weird then, Carl pulling up with nobody in driver's seats, because driver's on left hand side, i.e. the wrong side. Why you would bring your crappy car from Romania here though, is beyond me. It's only like a fucking Seat or something. Let's get a new car over here, bro. No? By coming here, you upgraded. Get a car that was made for this market. Obviously, we don't make cars here anymore because all that got sold off. Which is actually something I should maybe address. I see people, like, I'll clarify something, right? I'm not really a fan of Tommy Robinson. I don't follow any of his YouTube channels. I don't follow any of his social medias on like Instagram or Twitter. Not to my knowledge anyway, unless I've done it by accident, but anyway, I'm not a fan of Tommy's, right? But overall, he's on the correct side. And I'm not going to go denigrate my own side of the argument, you know. I'd rather we weren't all tribal, but that's the way it's got to be. We are being tribal. I'm in that tribe, right? And I see some of these stupid comments from left-wingers saying that like the Unite the Kingdom merch is made in like Bangladesh. I'm like, yeah, because we sold it all over there. All the millionaires and billionaires that you're whinging about, they're the ones to blame for that. If it wasn't for them, we would still have textile industry in this country. And we wouldn't be buying them from Bangladesh. So you going, that was Bangladesh, is actually part of our argument. Part of the nationalist argument. And we shouldn't be having to import everything. Food, clothes, electronics. You know, every country has to import some things. Even Japan could only last, what was it, like 200 years? 400? I forget. I'm sure it's an even number, but either way. Oh, hold on, I'm going to cross over because there's a nursery here at the side of me. and the children are not out playing, but I'd rather not be walking at the side of it with my camera. But yeah, that very much plays into our argument that these things shouldn't be made abroad. We should be making our own flags and our own merch in our own country. Should be. But can we? No. Because the system is set up so that so the rich millionaires and billionaires can take advantage of these poorer economies by getting them to make things for our economies. So it still only just supports the nativist nationalist argument. So, as I said, pointing out that the flag and the merch, etc., is not made in the UK isn't a known. It just shows your own lack of understanding of the subject. But, again, as I said earlier in the video, most people are idiots. When I'm saying idiots as well, I mean like sub 100 IQ score. That is why I'd class as an idiot. I think the average is like 96 or something. But, sorry, that is stupid. Maybe I'm being a bit big-headed, I don't know. I consider myself to be of average intelligence, but the more I talk to other people, I'm just like, maybe I'm not. You know, I'm doing YouTube at first, maybe question a lot of it, thinking, no, I'm not intelligent, I'm an idiot, because making videos is quite hard. But still, the more I read other people's dumb opinions, the more I'm convinced that most people in the world are like morons. Absolute plebs. Sort of like, say, when I'm in the past, when I've corrected a left winger saying that we ended slavery. Like, slavery still exists. Like, yeah, nobody said it disappeared off the face of the earth. But it's not legal anywhere anymore. There's no laws permitting human lives being slaves and selling them. There's no laws for it, so it's illegal. So we got rid of it. Is there still a black market? Yeah. There will always be a black market, I imagine. Just like there's a black market for drugs. But just because something is illegal doesn't mean that we didn't conquer it. But again, it's the dumb takes by intellectually stunted idiots. Anyway, I might stop filming this one because I'm about to get into Hemmingfield. And I don't really want to film my way up to where my mum lives. Put it on the internet, you know. Not very clever. But, you know, I'll leave this one here. Sorry if I've just been complaining in this whole video, but it makes more interesting content. To be honest, it's who I am. This is all me. I'd rather not try and pretend to be fake. And just try and talk about, oh, nice rosy things. And for anything, I've been quite positive because I'm saying I love my country. But obviously you have to talk about things that you don't like in between all that. But anyway, I'll leave the video here for now, just before getting to Hemmingfield, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, cockers.